good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're watching us from this day. Today, we will be sharing on the topic, unveiling the sequence of events leading to the rapture. It is going to be a step-by-step small teaching from scripture that unfolds the sequences of the end-time events. We'll begin our reading this morning from the book of Mark chapter 13, verse 5 to 8 and verse 14 to 27. Jesus said to them, "Watch out that no one deceives you. Many will come in my name, claiming I am he, and will deceive many. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nations will rise against nations, kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places and famine. These are the beginning of the birth pains." I titled this little section of the reading, "The Beginning of the End," just to open our understanding to understand precisely what these verses are saying. So we move to verse 14. "When you see the abomination that caused desolation standing where it does not belong, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee for the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down or enter the house to take anything out. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that this will not take place in winter, because those will be the days of distress, unequal from the beginning, when God created the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If the Lord had not cut short those days, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, who he has chosen, he has shortened them. At that time, if anyone say to you, 'Look, here is the Messiah,' or 'Look, there he is,' do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect," which means the elect as the present while all these things are going on. Verse 23. "So be on your guard. I have told you everything ahead of time. But in those days, following that distress, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, people will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. And he will send his angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of the heavens." This verse 27, we are seeing the gathering of the elect, which we term the rapture, which means the Antichrist as a person will manifest before the rapture. Let's go to our second scripture to prove the point that this desolate that Christ was talking about in verse 14 is actually the Antichrist, before we establish a point there. So let's go to Daniel chapter 9, verse 26 to 27. "After the 6 sevens, the anointed one will be put to death and will have nothing. The people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come like a flood. War will continue until the end, and desolation have been decreed. He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice
an offering, and at the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. So this is talking about the Antichrist and how he is setting up his system. We can now establish that in the book of Mark, where we just read, this is the Antichrist isolated, manifested, not just as the spirit of the Antichrist, but the person of the Antichrist himself. And this is the same Antichrist that Jesus is making reference to in the book of Mark. And according to what Jesus narrated in the book of Mark here, the Antichrist has manifested in person before the rapture. So let's go to our next scripture, which is 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3. While people are saying peace, suddenly destruction will come on them like a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. The Antichrist from the book of Daniel, where we just read, he is going to rule for 7 years, and in those 7 years there are going to be 3.5 years of peace. This is the 3.5 years of peace where the book of Thessalonians, 1 Thessalonians, is talking about. Matthew chapter 24 verse 37. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the Son of Man. For in those days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving to marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark, and then knew nothing about what was happening until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Jesus is comparing the end time, the actual end, when he is going to come back for his second return, to the event of Noah. And if we notice, during the time where Noah was building the ark, everything was going on well in the city. This can also be linked to the book of 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3, where we just read, while people were enjoying and drinking and saying peace, then sudden destruction comes. So the people, they never perceived the flood. Things were happening, but Noah was preparing. So believers will be preparing, but the world will not perceive that the end has actually come. Let's try to rearrange the events that we've just read in order to see which one comes first, and then we look at our world today to be able to fit the events in the world of today and the things that are happening today, so that we can see what time frame where we are located in the things of the end. So the book of Mark talks about war, talks about disaster, talks about famine and disturbance, which Jesus says this is a beginning of the end. Daniel 9 verse 27, it comes in where we see a covenant, we see peace, we see tribulation, we see the final end of age in that book of Daniel, and then we see the government of the Antichrist as a person, not as a spirit. Because as a spirit, the Antichrist has been manifesting long ago, but we see him now as a person. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 3 talks about the enjoyment and the false peace, and then the coming of the Messiah. So if we look in this book of Daniel, we see a time of peace, a 3.5 years of peace of the reign of the Antichrist. This 1 Thessalonians can perfectly fit in that description and in that time frame. The book of Matthew 24 verses 37, where Jesus compares to the days of Noah, also fits in this time frame where peace, the 3.5 years of peace of the reign of the Antichrist as a person, then the rapture occurs. So if we look at our world today and we look at the things that are happening, I think, to my own suggestion, we find ourselves in the area where there is famine, where we hear of wars, rumors of wars, and there is something which is being said in this book of Matthew, in this book of Mark, where Jesus said there are going to be false messiahs and false prophets. We have seen lots of false prophets. Those ones, I believe every nation has a good number of them. But yet, we have not seen false messiahs coming, because Jesus said in those days, they will say, here he is, there he is, don't go and don't believe. The concept of false messiah, to my own understanding of the current world in which we live today, the false messiah concept has not really been manifested. And then the false peace of the Antichrist, the government of the Antichrist, we have not seen it manifested yet also, according to my own analysis of the world today. The Antichrist himself, he has not manifested himself, and then this false peace, this false global peace has not yet manifested. Now, a lot of people are predicting that the world is going to end in September 23rd or 24th. I don't know the precise dates, but people have their own dates. According to me, this is a very good prediction to prepare believers towards the rapture. But again, it also has a negative effect, because if it doesn't really happen on that day, what if it happens on the 15th? What if it happens on the 1st of September? What if it happens on the 18th of September? So many people are going to miss it. People are going to come up with so many conspiracy theories if it doesn't happen after the 24th. So this is going to be a problem to new converts who might now put their faith and their belief on those dates that are being given. Now, if they put their faith and their belief on those dates that are being given, and it doesn't happen on those dates that are being given, it is going to be a problem. People are going to come up with stories like, okay, they said he's going to come, he is no longer coming. And if the next time people actually picked from the realm of the spirit the actual time frame when Jesus is going to come, I believe that many will know, many believers, not unbelievers, will know, will have the signal that he is coming. When people pick it up and they pass that announcement round, people are not going to believe anymore because of the one that didn't happen. So Jesus said something. He said, take heed. Take heed. So I believe as believers, we ought to be prepared for every hour, every time, every day, not for a particular day. A particular day might give an advantage to us, but then it also has a consequence if that day doesn't work. According to Jesus, he urges us to be prepared at all times and be like the wise virgins, where we have enough oil in our lamps. Luke chapter 12 verse 37. How happy are those servants whose master find them awake, ready when he returns. I tell you, he will take off his coat, have them sit down, and will wait on them. The idea of this message is that we should be awake and ready. If you put your hope in a date and that date doesn't work, or Christ comes before that day, you might miss it. If he comes after that day, the devil might play around with your faith. But how happy are those servants whose master finds them awake? Inasmuch as we are waiting for the coming of Christ, it may be tomorrow. Now, the question is, how sure are you that you will see tomorrow? Christ can come for you today. He can come for me today. Trusting in a day is a limitation that we will not want to risk. I pray that Jesus Christ in his second coming will not leave any of us behind, any of us that are believing in him. I pray that you listening to this message this day is not a mistake, and you will be prepared and ready at all times to meet your Maker again. Thank you very much. If there are any questions or contributions, we would like to entertain them. You can ask your questions. You can comment in the comment section, and we will attend to you. Thank you very much.